Hey folks, we's back. Ooh, Rose. Hey. Hello, hello, hello. Hey y'all. Hey y'all. What's good? What's good? It's Wednesday. We made it another week. I look forward to this every week now. I really do. I look forward to kicking it with y'all. Hey, we're ready to go. Miss Jacquelyn's here. Our guest is in the building. Look, technology, y'all. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Orion Brown. I am the founder and CEO of Black Travel Box. We're a personal care products company for travelers of color, and this is Wine Down Wednesday. If you got your glass of wine, wait, that's I've got it too full. Oh, you got your glass of wine, throw it up, throw it up. I see y'all coming in. We are about to kick it. We're going to talk all things travel, beauty, whatever comes up, honestly. Like, really depends on how deep you get into the wine glass, where the conversation ends up going. And today we have a dope guest. I would love, and this is our tradition, I'm calling it our tradition here at Wine Down. So I want you to introduce yourself and tell everybody, ooh, y'all, look, wait, hold up. Look at that. Look at that. That is a symmetrical damn shame. Like, let's just take a moment of silence for my nails that have chipped and peeled. So I won't be talking with my hands. I'll talk with them below the camera. But tell us your name, where you're from, where you live, if it's two different places, and how many stamps you have on your passport.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am Jacquelyn Rodgers. I am from North Carolina, Hillsborough, a tiny town outside of Chapel Hill, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. And I have to go gather old and current passports because I just got a new one, and I have 13 stamps.
Look at you. It's so funny how I love how seriously people take it, like to check out the number of stamps, and they're like, wait, I couldn't find the one book, but I had to extrapolate, and I'm like, I love it. 13 stamps. What was the most touching or heartfelt trip you've ever taken, or moment that you've had on a trip to one of those countries?
I would say Barcelona, because I got engaged and I flew out to meet my fiance. He proposed and left and went to Barcelona for during his MBA to go to study abroad. And I went out to meet him, and my grandfather had just passed, and I was just so sad because he was there, and I wanted to grieve and talk to him about it. And so I was trying to be strong, and then we were watching a movie, and I just lost it in the middle of the movie, and I felt like I finally let it all out. But it was a really great, wonderful trip. But that was probably a trip where I felt like I got away and I had a chance to think.
Ooh, I love that. And trips like that, you don't know how stressed you are until you show up on the trip and it breaks out, it breaks through. And then you're like, I feel so much better. I didn't know I felt bad. What's happening?
I felt so much better. I had a good ugly cry too. It was an ugly cry. But after that, I was like, okay, I think I can enjoy the trip now. Yeah.
Were there any things that you did on the trip that helped you, or that helped along that process, that prompted you to kind of release and let go?
I don't know. I don't feel like I was in my self-care journey that I am now. So it was a while ago. So I felt like we toured and walked around a lot. We ate good. We went to some museums, but I don't remember the moment where I was a moment of reflection. I think probably just being still in that moment, then just watched the movie, and it kind of I don't know, something about the movie. There was a death in the movie, and it just all my thoughts crept into my head.
Was it an American movie?
Was it really early on? I promise I won't be dark the whole time.
No, I love this though, because travel encompasses more than just having fun and being on a beach. Yes. And actually, if I'm having fun the way that I want to on a beach, I'm probably not wearing a bikini, but I am having several cocktails and snacks. So it's everybody has a different thing, but there is something really powerful. And at Black Travel Box, we say travel is my self-care. And it's It's so true. It's true for me. It's true for our audience. It's true for our customers. That travel is such a huge part of self-care, and self-care isn't always pretty. Sometimes it's an ugly cry. Sometimes it's your hair looking crazy. Sometimes it's all of those things so that you can get to a place of, and travel can be an amazing part of that. You know, people that you meet and experiences that you have. So I love that you were at the movies. So what kind of movie, like what was it, a Spanish movie? Were you watching it with like subtitles? Do you speak Spanish? Like what was the deal? Was
It's
it
not
Fast
as
and the
bad as
Furious?
that. It's worse. It's, I won't say it's worse than that, but it was a Medea movie. We were
Okay, so
literally
Medea.
watching. It was a Medea movie, but there was a death, and that was all I could say.
Yeah.
It just was too
Well,
much.
and see, that's Tyler Perry will
You
sneak up
made
on
it
you,
really
whether you like
sexy.
Medea
It was
stuff or
sexy with
not.
your. It was. I should have been like. I should just lied and said yes. We're watching subtitles, the Spanish.
No, don't lie. Keep it real. Keep it real. Look, by the way, I'm not a big Tyler Perry movie fan. I'm a big fan of Tyler Perry himself. But I laughed my ass off watching that Halloween one. So it is what it is. Like it just depends on when you're in the space. But I think there's something really interesting about, he does find poignant moments because he's always teaching, even though there may be the craziest stuff going on and the worst wigs you've ever seen. Oh my God, the worst wigs. But so Tyler Perry is internationally touching hearts. That's really the takeaway. I love this. So we'll take it out of, you know, sort of the sad release self-care piece. And let's talk a little bit about, you know, one of your more relaxing you know, interests, like you know, do you do solo travel? Do you take time with yourself, or have you gone on trips just to pamper yourself with, you know, others?
Yes, I solo travel. I haven't done a lot of international solo travel. I have a girlfriend who is the queen of solo travel, and I live vicariously through her. She will travel anywhere on God's green earth by herself, and she is a pro at it. And I love that about her. And she makes the most great connections, and I love to hear her stories when she comes back and the people she meets and the things she does. So I'm not a solo traveler, but I do have two small children, and I do like to get away and have some
Mhm.
self-care. And I'm a firm believer in getting away by yourself. I used to travel a lot for work, so I would try to make my work travel my time away and try to plan a spa or something in there. But most recently,
Which is nice, but it's not the same as just like doing it
it's
for
not.
yourself.
It's not. Recently, because of COVID, we haven't traveled a ton, but we went to the Bahamas and then Miami, and it was great. And when I travel, it's like I'm the same with you. I don't want an excursion. My form of excursion is like the pool, the beach, the bed, spa, repeat. Like people are like ATVs and like
I do
hiking.
do the ATVs. I do, but that's not my relaxing vacation. That's my fun vacation.
Your
Like
fun
that's
vacation.
yeah, that's not the relaxing vacation. If I'm like a relaxing vacation, I'd stay in the room and sleep just as they got those like the perfect
Close the
pillows.
curtains. Good night.
I have taken vacations just to sleep, and I am not ashamed of it because that's what I needed.
I'm not either. I say we went to not international. We went to Denver recently, and I went by myself, and we hiked a little bit. I went to the Red Rock Amphitheater and like hiked around and walked around in there, and it was
Gorgeous, isn't it?
beautiful. And I
Yes.
was not a big hiker. My sister-in-law got me into hiking, and prior to that, I like no desire to hike. But it is very therapeutic and relaxing, and I do enjoy it. So. Yeah.
And it's crazy. So I'm in Denver. I've been
Okay.
here for 5 years.
Okay.
I've been hiking maybe 3 times. It's so bad.
Really?
And every time I go, I love it. But it's the going. It's almost like when you move to a city, and I don't know what it's like in the ATL area, but you could even say with like being in Hillsborough. So I went to Duke for grad school. And so it was like Chapel Hill, it was kind of a hike, right? And it's like, it's 15 minutes.
It's
You know,
nowhere.
like I'll
It's
still go to
nowhere.
Target. It's not that far, but after a while you get used to it. And like bigger cities, you know, New York, it could take you an hour to get somewhere, and it's not even
20
across
minutes.
town. But yeah, so to me, I'm like, I can see the mountains, and I can osmose the feeling, but it's not the same as going out there. And it only takes like 15-20 minutes, and I'm just like, oh,
It's some beautiful spots near you too. Beautiful.
yes, Red Rock, Golden. I did go hiking a few weeks ago in Golden, and it was absolutely beautiful. And then I remembered that I haven't hiked in a really long time, and I was breathing hard, and I was like, okay.
I breathe hard every time I hike. I'm like, whoo, I am moving muscles I did not know I had. I am like sore in places. I was like, what? How was I moving that part of my arm yesterday? Why am I so sore?
Because it's all out of balance. And that is another thing. So when I travel, so every time I used to go to San Francisco, I would go hiking, which was crazy. I don't know why. Like I would go hiking when I would go there, but not here. But that is the beauty of going to places where you have to walk. Like I went to Croatia a few years ago, and it's sort of, it's not rural, but it's like you have a main road and then you have these hills because it's like going right to the water. So when you want to go like stay at a place like they have like basically Airbnb type homes, you gotta take your luggage and then somebody will come and help you, but you gotta take your luggage and you're walking uphill and downhill and stuff. And I was like, I have a tiny muscle up under my hip that I didn't know was there.
You found it that day.
I was gonna learn today. I found that hip muscle. So I totally feel you on that. Like, what prompted you to come out to Denver?
My husband's going to play flag football, and I was like, "I'll go." Like, being in the house with COVID, it's like I've never been to Denver. I'm going to. Let's go. So
Hey, I love it.
It was good. It was a good time. It's beautiful.
That's amazing. And this is like one of those locations around, domestically that make great just road trip type locations. Like if you get in the area and just like drive around, you can do a lot of stuff, not come in contact with a ton of people, and still really enjoy yourself. Are there any places like in your area that you've taken like road trips or anything to try to escape during COVID?
Yeah, I went to Savannah. So my kids were in school. And so I dropped them off the second day of school, and I got in the car and drove 4 hours to meet my girlfriends in Savannah. And we
said, deuces, y'all can stay there.
Reload! Yeah. And we went to the spa. We ate good. We had a beautiful Airbnb, and we just it was girlfriends I hadn't seen in like 2 years. We just kikied and laughed and played culture tags. We just had a good time.
I just bought that. Now I need a Kiki to take it to.
It is a cackle. We were like in tears, and then it was to the point we couldn't play for talking about cards. Like we were like, it was like, okay, the timer is not working. We were just having these one-offs about the game. It's a fun game.
I love that. So how did you guys kind of put together this perfect Kiki? Now I'm gonna have RuPaul in my head. Let's have a Kiki for the rest of this conversation. By the way, it's gonna be stuck there.
I love drag race. I do. Well, I have to say, one friend was like, "Let's go," and she planned everything, and I just showed up, and I thanked her the whole weekend for all the effort she put forth. So that all I had to do was sell her money, and I thanked her again and again and again for doing the hard work. It was funny though. On the ride down, another friend had messaged me and told me good places for us to go eat. And so I was like, "Oh, my friend said we should go eat these great places." And I forwarded them the text that he had sent me, and they were like, "Oh, we're going there Sunday night to one of the restaurants." And I go, "Sunday night? When are we checking out?" And they go, "Oh, we're checking out Monday." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that. So let me let all the people know back at home, and they'll see me on Monday." And then they laughed about it. We kept on going down.
Then we just laughed and laughed and laughed. I love that.
It was great.
That sounds amazing. So what were some of the highlights? And obviously spending time with your girls, especially if you're close, is just golden in and of itself. But what were some of the highlights where you were like, if I were to take somebody to Savannah to have a great time, I would definitely take them to this place?
The restaurants. We ate at some really great restaurants, good brunch spots. And I'm blanking on all the names. We went to a wonderful
we put you on the spot, that's all.
Right, you know the spot. We went to a wonderful spa. I'll put them in the comments after this if you post this, and then people can find them there. But we ate we brunch, we slept in, We did late dinner. The second night, I was just tired, and they were like, "We're gonna miss our dinner reservation," and they let me sleep because they knew I needed that sleep. And then we just got takeout, and it was wonderful. And then they brought me food from my favorite restaurant in Charlotte. So these are my dogs, these are my homies. So it was a great trip. It was
we need your friends.
Ride or die. We just relaxed. We ate. We went to the spa. We got great massages, and then we just walked around Savannah. There's tons of great little shops, tons of history in Savannah. There's lots of tours you can take, historical tours, and there's some great bars and rooftops. So it was really just to get away and to see friends. And
was it packed with people, or was it nice and mellow? Like I didn't know Savannah was this turn, just having the rooftops and the great brunches.
Oh yeah, there's some really great rooftops, so like restaurant bars near like the river. There were areas that were a little crowded for me. I felt like they had the tables spaced out at all the restaurants we went to. We wore masks, and in the spa they wore masks. So I felt comfortable there. It was the first time I've been in a spa pre-pandemic. But I felt comfortable. The only place I would say is like probably close to, I can't think of the name of the street, but close to the river, like one street over that I felt was like at night, it was kind of congested on the street. But we had on masks, I felt comfortable. So I think it just really depends on where you're going. We didn't go like any nightclubs or like bars, you know, like bars, indoor bars. Everyone was like an outside area place. So I felt safe. We were vaccinated, and they work in healthcare, so they were like, you know, they're not trying to be around a whole bunch of other people either. So.
Right. And so there's something about that too. It's almost like having a canary for this, right? Like you look to the one person you know that's in medicine, and you're like, so is this cool? Like, are we supposed to be doing it?
And I'm constantly like, so what's it looking like up there? How's the PPE? Do I need to restock on Lysol? What's going on? Tell me what's the latest. Like, give it to me.
Right. Double down.
Right. Crazy. Oh my
gosh. I love that.
Crazy.
I love that. Well, I'm glad you got that trip in, and I love the girls trip, you know, vibe, right? Like especially when you don't get a chance to be social, and you didn't have a big group. You said it was only 3 of you, right?
Oh,
so it's like,
I don't travel in big groups. I don't do big group travel. That's not my ministry. No. Like 4 to 5.
It sounds like you've had some experiences.
4 to 5 people is the max. I don't want to be with 8 to 10. We got multiple Ubers. One person's late. We can't sit down at the table for the dinner reservation. No, that's not my ministry. I don't travel anymore. I've done it, and I won't do it ever again. If the trip gets too big, I'm like, I'm out. I can't go. I'm one of those who all going people. Who all going? Who coming? Who all coming?
That is a quotable, y'all. When somebody invites you to a group trip, who all going is the first thing you want to ask.
I need to know who all is going.
So where did you go, and what were some of the elements? I mean, you mentioned like having the separate, you know, Ubers and cabs and stuff like that, but where did you go, and what made it like not group friendly?
I would say a trip to New York before moving to New York. And that was just a nightmare. It was just too many people. Probably like some random trips in college to like DC or like somebody else's homecoming. And just with like sorority sisters, just too many people. Like I don't like large groups of people. I don't like large groups of couples. Like give me 1 or 2 other sets of couples and I'm good. Smaller, intimate is better. You're not yelling down the table. You know, you can enjoy yourself. You can talk to people. That's just, I don't know. That's me.
I feel you.
I don't enjoy 20 people. That's not how I am. That's not fun for me.
This ain't worth the trip if I'm not having fun. I feel you.
No, I don't do it. Then you got people who don't chat, you know.
Oh my gosh. You're right. I mean, I've been on a few, and 2 were like, okay, we could probably have coordinated this better. And then 1 was actually excellent and it was totally on point. But I think the saving grace was we had a group within the group. So it was a group travel trip to Cuba, but 4 of us were friends. And then we didn't know everybody else. So it was like, we could kind of go off on our own. And
so
then,
it's just the 4 of you. It wasn't 20 of you. See?
Well, it was like 16 of us on a bus, like going around Cuba, but like we still had like core groups that we could kind of cling to. So it wasn't like you're just kind of floating in this thing. And and there's a lot of personalities, right? And so like it's good to have like a personality or two that you can just kind of like, okay, you know how to travel, cool, let's do this.
Yeah.
But I
Everybody's
love
gonna
that.
say like some people want to go. Like, I don't mind. I like to do a little bit of art museums. I want to get some history in where I'm at. Some people just want to party and drink. Some people just want to sleep in spa. Those are all wonderful things. But I think you got to know what your group likes
And
to
you
do.
can't all want to do it at the same time. Yeah, because that's I've seen some stuff happen like in small groups, like 5 people, where it's like, I don't want to go there, but 4 of us want to go. Well, I don't. Oh, you're gonna be the loudest. Okay, cool. But I think there's also a curation that has to happen. Like, I don't have dinner parties at my house unless I curate who is invited. So I used to do, when I worked for a big company, like a big corporation, and I had a lot of friends in that company, I would like not tell some of them about it, because you know they were like, why didn't I get my? I'm like, oh no, I just don't have enough room in my place. You come in the next Tuesday. But I would curate it, because it's like, if you don't have the right mix of people, somebody's gonna fight, somebody's gonna get an attitude, somebody's gonna get political.
Yes,
right?
somebody's gonna get too drunk. You have to know. Like, I'm a firm believer that like all of my friends are my friends, but they may not all interact.
Be friends with each other. Yeah.
Right. And so you have to be really mindful of that when you're, planning and hosting things. And so I'm a firm believer in that. So I understand.
That's such a good concept, right? Because you can't just because you like them, they are reflecting off of different parts of you.
Yes.
And these people aren't all going to be the same. You can't just put them together in a pot.
And expect everybody to be like, jolly good time. Like, it's just not going to work. It's not.
That's when you have your cards. I have Cards Against Humanity, and it's like, you got to have people who have an irreverent, sense of humor. You can't have people that are like easily offended, because that will kill the entire game.
Right.
Not even clutch your pearls. I've literally had somebody just be like, that's not funny. Oh. It's like, and everybody else is like, you're hilarious. Oh, you serious? Oh, my bad.
Next card.
But you gotta know the audience, right? Like, that's a huge thing. So I'm definitely using that. I'm like, all y'all are my friends. You're not each other's friends. Let's just not even get it twisted.
It's important to know.
So are you like looking forward to any new trips? Like, are you watching out for Delta and kind of staying put? Like, how are you thinking about getting back out into the world again? And obviously you came to Denver recently, but.
Yeah, we went to the Bahamas, and so we had to do the whole, COVID test before you go. It was our wedding anniversary trip. So it was like, let's go somewhere with a quick flight, because I don't want to be in a mask for a really long time.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, Bahamas is like Atlanta to Miami, Miami to Bahamas. It's a quick flight. So we did that. And it was, everybody wore their masks on the resort. It was chill. I just wanted like a relaxing trip. I wasn't looking to go super far away, right? So that was a good trip. And then we did Miami on the way back for a few days. But as far as like the next trip I'd like to do, I don't have anything planned. I'm kind of waiting on to see how, Delta, the variant, is going to do. And then that'll determine my next travel. I've got some small trips. I'm going to Philly for a wedding, little stuff like that, but nothing major. My sister-in-law is going to Greece in a few days, so I'm like living through her trip, and I'm like, find out she's got a friend there, so she's like going to stay in some small village. It's going to be great. So I'm excited for her. And
I don't even know her, and I'm mad at her right now. I'm just like, you get to stay in a village.
Yeah, like she's going to. She was telling me that her friend doesn't. There's like not even an address. Just tell them her name in this little.
And you can find it. Girl, that cracks me up every time. Like, go to Jamaica, and it's like you don't write a full address on the envelope because the mailman knows them. And I'm like, my mailman doesn't even come at the same time every day. And it's not usually the same person.
You don't have Mr. Earl. Mr. Earl knows everybody in Jamaica. Okay, he didn't listen. He knows everybody, wherever his town. Okay, so yeah. So I don't have any other trips coming up. I have not been to the continent of Africa at all. I'm ashamed to say. So I would like to get there. I would like to do. My son wants to go to Egypt. He's obsessed with Egypt. I would like to go to Ghana. We have an illustrator that we worked with there, and I have not met him in person, so I'd like to go there. I would like to go to China because we have two manufacturers that we use there for the business that I have made a connection with on Skype and WhatsApp at very late hours in the night.
But you haven't gone yet to
but
like,
I haven't
meet
met
them.
them. So yes, like I want to go and like see the factory and see them because I've done a lot of business with them, but I haven't met them in person. So that's probably.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I've had people on who have used their business as a means to also kind of like hit that travel bug. Like, tell us a little bit about your business and, you know, where the international connections come in, and have you used any of them, or is that something like you're looking forward to?
So my business is Greentop Gifts. So we bring diversity celebrations through multicultural gift wrap, home decor, and apparel. And we launched with Clarence Claus, a Black Santa. And then we expanded into birthday paper. We're about to launch a baby shower product that I'm all super excited about. So we've been in business for 5 years this year. And we source some of our product here in the US, some of our products manufactured overseas. Illustrators we work with are some are in Canada, some are in Ghana, some are in California, and then we have manufacturers, some are US based and some of them are in China. And in India. So we do a lot of communicating with them through shipping of samples back and forth, or I'll find something that I like that I want to get sourced, and I'll send them a sample like, I want this, but I want it this way. And then they will, you know, we'll communicate and talk about it and work through it in contracts, and I wire money and send it back, and then our product will arrive at a port to the door, and it comes to our location. So it is exciting and extremely nerve-wracking when you are sourcing products overseas and you've never seen that person. I can tell you the first time I wired money to an illustrator, I wired it Western Union because they didn't have PayPal where he lived. And I was like, it's either going to be a scam or it's going to be an amazing opportunity. One of the two is going to happen.
It's a trap.
So that's kind of what our experiences have been with sourcing products.
Wow. And so really there is an opportunity as you continue to build out sort of your vendors and your partners and your suppliers. Although you already have like the definition of supplier diversity. I mean, my goodness. But you do have some reasons to kind of go out and like, oh, I need to take this over to you so you can see exactly what I mean.
We need to talk face to face, and we can talk about this. Yeah, this is a business.
I love that. How do you make that decision, or how are you thinking about making that decision in the future? So we have a lot of folks that watch that are also in the entrepreneurial space. It's like, when you have, you know, sourcing from different places is great because it's, you know, it's less expensive and this, that, and the other, and talent is great. But like, when do you decide like, okay, I'm going to put the investment of bringing me to them and co-creating?
For me, I want the best quality product. And so I am a paper snob. I love gift wrap, stationery, greeting cards. I love it. I can spend days and hours in gift shops and paper stores. So for me, I'm not going to sell our customers anything I don't want to buy and use myself. And so I always want to make sure we have the best quality, the best products, and the illustrations come to life and are magical and can make a child go ooh and make an adult, you know, bring joy to them as well, right? So
yeah,
if it doesn't give that sense of magic, then I don't want to work with that artist. So
you're Disney for gift wrap, basically. You're basically Disney movies for gift wrap.
That's what I'm trying to do. I like it. I'll take it. Yeah, you know, I want people to connect with our products. I want it to appeal to a senior, a grandmother, an aunt, you know, a professional aunt, no kid, a pain, as we like to call them, and to a kid, you know. So it's really important for me that when we're sourcing, you know, illustrators, I always like to work with them, but I don't like to stifle their creativity as an artist, because I think it's really important to get the best work from an artist when you allow them to do the work that they do well, right? If you're like, no, I need a blue and I need to just change that, then you're taking away their creative expression. So if you don't really love the artist, they're probably not a good fit for you.
That is a word right there. Because I think sometimes as we try to find creatives to bring some things to life, it can be a challenge, and you're like, well, I have my vision, but there's some place where you have to find somebody that can be a partner, where you can give them an idea of the vision and they can run with it. But if it's not fitting, it's not fitting. Like, rather than creative directing, find somebody that kind of gets you. I love that. I was
hard
going to
as
say, how
business
did you manage to do that?
It's hard because as a business owner, it's your baby, right? It's your business, it's your product. You know exactly what you want it to look like and how you want it to come to life. But then you're working with a creative who may be designing, you know, a box or a bottle or a scent or fragrance or whatever it is that you're doing. And if that's their expertise, there's a fine line of you getting what you have in your head and them telling you what they know is their expertise and giving you a quality product, and then you screwing it up because you're like, but no, I want it blue, and they're like, no, but the background needs to be black for the font to pop, and you're like, but no, I want it blue, you know. So we get in our own way, and I don't know, I think that's just, I always try to be mindful of that, and I try to be mindful of that when I'm working with creatives up front to let them know, like, I'm gonna let you have some leeway, but these are a few things that I really want this way, but everything else is on you. And I think you get better work when you allow them to be creative and let them do their art. I think you get a better working relationship.
Wow. And that's a word right there, just in terms of letting sort of their gift shine, as it were. No pun intended, but like letting their gift shine and letting them do what they do best. And so trusting yourself to know that you picked well.
Yes, and picking well so that you don't like, and sometimes they're just not the right fit. Like if you're trying to make somebody who's never designed logos do logos for you, then they might not be the right person. Like, you know, you gotta find people that are talented in those things.
And even if they have, like sometimes people have just their creative niche where you're like, but this looks just like the 5 other logos you just made for these companies. And I stylistically, if somebody wants that, that's great, but I need you to pivot, and don't ask people to pivot on things that's not really their ministry, as it were.
Yeah, on to the next one. To the next one.
Right? I love that. And so you mentioned you actually have creators in different parts of the globe. So like, what are some of the challenges or even some of the benefits you've had in terms of creatively, like communicating with them and getting to the thing that you're looking for?
Communicating. I did an interview. I found this illustrator that I really liked. She was in Brazil. She spoke very little English. Very little English. My neighbor at the time was from Brazil. She spoke Portuguese. Her daughter was like 17 or 18. And I was like, can you translate a Zoom call for me? And she's like, huh? I was like, can you translate a Zoom call for me? So we did the interview, and this 17-year-old translated it for me and her. And she's from Brazil, lives in the US, and she translated the meeting. And the girl's art was awesome, but I was just like, this isn't gonna work for me because she didn't know enough English for, like, there was just no way. I knew it was gonna be too much work for me. And I was like, as much as I want to work with this person, this was gonna be hard. Like, this is gonna be harder than I want to deal with. But I feel like for as far as even working with manufacturers in China, I try to be very careful to not use a lot of slang and be very direct and very descriptive when I'm talking with them to make sure that they understand what I need and what I want. Always asking for samples, mock-ups, pictures, and then over communicating like exactly what it is you need and want, because it can get lost in translation, and that could be a very expensive error in communication when you're working with a manufacturer or a creator and they don't understand what you're saying. So I would say ask for proof and review that contract, review that invoice, and double check it 3 times.
Triple check it. And especially if you're ordering things in bulk, there are stories, but you order things in bulk and then you realize, oh, you packed it completely different than you packed the sample. That's interesting and crazy looking. So what were you going to tell me? Being really clear. So one of the things that I've noted is having manufacturers take photos of the product as it's boxed, so you have an idea of what's coming. I've done that with when COVID started. I did not do that, and I had custom fabric made for masks that I was really excited about, and I was like, cool, custom printed from Korea. And it arrived at the seamstress or the sewing house, and they sewed them all up, and then I got them, and I was like, the printing, like the ink hadn't adhered to the fabric, and so it was like a shadow. And even with the sewers, they were like, well, we did the jobs and you paid us, so that's it. And it's like, but you didn't look at that and go, this doesn't look like what you sent me. People aren't going to do it for you. So you got to check it. You got to check it every step of the
Expensive
way.
errors. You learn, right? I got some
It was a very expensive error. It was a very expensive error. But when you're waiting for 4 weeks for something to get to you, that's kind of one of those challenges. It's not like Amazon where you send that sucker right back, free shipping. Nope.
I ordered a few hundred coffee mugs that were printed wrong, and I learned that error. I still give them out to people when they come to my house. I'm like, would you like a coffee mug?
People are like, she's so nice. Jackie's so nice. She gave me this coffee mug, but why I look like that? Shut up. It's mine.
It's
mine.
free.
It's free.
It's a welcome gift. It's a welcome gift.
Right. I mean, you know what? That's when you do mystery gifts. So for those of you who have businesses, do the mystery gift and do your bumpy, ugly stuff. As long as it still works.
All right.
Stuff it with some candy. Call it a day. Costco's.
These are lessons we learn. I hope anybody who's getting things manufactured is hearing these things. Proof check, triple check, ask these questions because you're right.
And people aren't going to get offended.
You can't assume anything when you're manufacturing.
You really can't, unless you control the product, like the manufacturing line. There's nothing that you can assume. And at the end of the day, the worst thing that can hurt to ask is that somebody's like, "Ooh, you asked me," but hey, I saved some money.
Right.
So tell us, I want to talk about this wrapping paper because I remember seeing articles and all that. I was like, oh, Black Santa, what? And now it seems like there's a bunch of people doing it, but how are you kind of keeping your creativity innovative, and what part does having this team all over help to do that, if any?
I say for innovation, it is, for me, I was double touching. I was working full time and I was working on the business on the side. And so it was more of a seasonal business. And then this past February, I quit my job to work on the business full time, February 2020. And so, yes, it was the only regret is I wish I had done it, because then once I quit, I felt like things sped up so much faster. I had more time to focus on the business. So now I feel like I have all these ideas and things that I wanted to do that I just couldn't do because I didn't have the time, because I was kind of doing working corporate, doing this at night. And so now that I have all these ideas and things I want to do, and I'm sourcing samples, and I feel like I'm like, oh, what it is. So now it's just, funding all those fun ideas and products and things that I want to do. And there's so many things that parents and aunts and grandmas and uncles are looking for, and they're products people want. Representation. I think in 2020, representation has always been important, but in 2020 it really came to the forefront, and people are now wanting to show representation of our multicultural society, some in more authentic ways than others. But I think as far as what I bring to this space is as a person of color and a person raising small children, I think it's important to see this representation. So there's these things and products that I want for my kids to see and to connect with and recognize their beauty and their skin tone and their hair color, even their hair texture. So I think that's right. I think that's really what helps with our innovation and our products, and what I think makes us unique from others that are in this space. And so there's so many things that I want to do and we're working on that I'm excited about outside of this. So yeah.
Dream big, girl, dream big. And what you touched on, hair texture, one of the things I didn't realize was how little our hair textures were reflected just in the world outside of the hair aisle. The hair aisle, you see, stuff on boxes and things like that. But in the world, and one of the things, that Cuba trip that I mentioned, we were in Trinidad, the city, not the country. We were in Trinidad, and there was an art, there was a whole row of artists, I don't even want to say booths. It was full galleries or whatever, small galleries. And I went into one just because I saw the hair so she had, beautiful Black female bodies, and the hair had texture. Texture on the actual, and I just stood there. I brought one home, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But I was moved just by seeing our hair in an authentic way. And
Yeah.
it caught me off guard. Like I wouldn't have, before that, I wouldn't have been a person like, yeah, we need more pictures of hair like that. I'm like, yeah, we do. I know we do. Intellectually, I know that. But seeing it reflected in art, and especially with that lens of beauty, because you know, art speaks to you, right? And I'm like, you're celebrating this form, and you're celebrating, and more than the form, the curls. Oh my God, the curls and the kinks. I still get goosebumps. Like, so that's amazing that you're bringing that to sort of the everyday space.
Yeah.
Within, was it textiles, paper stock? Tell us what the scope of this is, because I should probably know this.
No, so it's gift wrap. So you would say gift wrap and, you know, paper. So that would probably where you say, but we're also doing products where we're doing, you know, so a textile, so, you know, apparel. So there's just a lot of different ways that we're playing in that space. But yeah, I think it's super important. Like you said, you know, I had my neighbor, she told me one time, she's like, my little girl asked for flat yellow hair. And she was like, like she said, it pained me because she was like, she had no love for her own hair texture, her own hair. And she was just like, that's because a lot of what she sees, you know, kids see television shows, and if all the books that you see and the TV shows you watch have flat yellow hair and you don't see anything that looks like yours, then you think there's something wrong with yours. And so you want flat yellow hair because that's what all the books have in it. So I think important. Like you connected with art, you're an adult, right? So if a kid sees hair that looks like me at a young age, and it's like, oh, that looks like me. That's beautiful. That's important. It's self-reflection, right? It instills that sense of self-pride, and that's why I think it's just super important. So that's kind of part of the little mission I'm on. So
I love that, and that's one of the things that, you know, this bump in interest from 2020. I mean, you know, whether it's genuine or not, it's sort of neither here nor there, because it's a way in. It's a way to start having these conversations more openly. One of the things that I've done with Black Travel Box is focused on, well, number one, it's so funny because when I came up with the name, it was meant to be like a triple entendre almost, right? Like, so the first thing that came to mind was like, and I'm kind of old, so I was like, a little black book, right? It has all the names and all the things that you want. And then the little black dress. I mean, they're always little. But I was like, you know, Black Travel Box is just, you know, this mailer that encompasses all the little things that you need when you travel. And, oh wait, Tiana. Yeah.
yes, yes. Even though I love
All right,
Tiana, but
girl.
you're right. I was having a conversation the other day. We watched Princess and the Frog a lot. We're talking about that, and I was like, man, why couldn't Tiana, like, wouldn't it be great? Like, let's call I love Moana, because don't get me honest, and a whole other topic for another day. But I love Moana because she isn't after a man. She's like, woman, hear me roar, and she's saving her village, and I love that. So
And
yes,
she had thick calves too. I just want to see a girl with some normal girl legs. She had some thick
yeah,
calves
she
and some
had
ankles
real
on her.
legs. I love Moana's my favorite. Like it was Tiana, and then after Moana came out, I was like, oh no, it's Moana then Tiana. Just from the story. Back to the box. Sorry.
So good. Yes. No, I love that. And I love that y'all are chatting with us. So the chat, for those of you who don't know, the chat's usually like a few seconds behind. So like we have to catch back up to it. But yeah, that's one of the things I do with Black Travel Box. So oftentimes people ask me, you know, like, why is black in the name? And is it just written? It's like, no. We need to normalize that there are people of different hues and different hair textures in the world, and that there is no such thing as normal. Right? Let's take normal off bottles of lotion and bottles of hair. You can't say that this shampoo is for normal hair and then it not work for somebody. Not even, so nothing's going to work for everybody. But when you have a large chunk of the Earth's population that that can't use something, like, that's the opposite of selling, you know? And so that's something that, you know, I'm kind of doing in my lane in terms of beauty. Yes, we want to see more representation of beauty, but also let's stop caveating it with, well, this is for everyone. Like, let's start talking about and bringing forward faces that aren't necessarily served, and saying, you can come along if you want to. And I always say this, you can come along with us if you want to. Try our products, because by the way, hair ain't nothing but protein, keratin, and water. The shape of it is what changes like how we deal with it. But like, we're not made of different things. We're made of the exact same elements. And so to me, I'm like, if you see a Black woman on a package, you should go, well, let me see if this might have some ingredients that work for me. You shouldn't stop and go, oh, that's not for me, and keep moving. Because ultimately that's not the experience that we have, right? Like we go into the aisle and we're like, all right, so this person's on there. I gotta do some digging to figure out if this'll work. And so I love that you guys are doing that work in celebratory moments, which is like a place, unless you see like those little precious moments dolls with the creepy little eyes. And every now and again you find a little chocolate chip one. It's like, oh, everybody's Black grandma has like 15 of the little chocolate chip ones. Don't know where she's getting them, Tuesday morning or wherever.
I don't know. Tuesday morning is probably right. It's probably right.
Right? Tuesday morning. I love Tuesday. But I love that you guys are bringing that. Just it's making ubiquitous the Black experience, and not even in a political way. Just saying like we're here, we show up, and we ain't never seen Santa Claus, so we don't know he's not Black. I just want to say that.
Black. That's the whole reason I wanted my son to connect. That's it. It was, growing up, my mother is obsessed with every holiday. She is the reason I celebrate every holiday in our house, right? We painted angels, nativities. There's a nativity that's in her house every 365. It never comes down.
Oh, yeah.
The Black nativity.
Yeah, I mean, because the Lord's been with us all the time. Yeah.
Now, okay? It's white nail on her mantle in Hillsborough. So, that's just all. It was always important for us to have things that look like us for every holiday and every home. She was coloring in cards, painting angels, ornaments, everything had to have some representation. So when I had my son, I wanted that same thing for him. And so she is a large portion of the reason to why I think it's important. So, yeah.
And that's beautiful, because there's something to be said for, and as you pointed out with kids, like being surrounded by, I would say, a diversity of things. Unfortunately, we have a bullwhip effect because culture has shifted so far over to one end that we try to go to the other to balance it out. But, my hope is at some point we get to, I don't want to say necessarily a middle ground, but a place where kids are surrounded by true diversity and like true. Yeah.
And it's not just important for Black and brown kids. It's important for other children to see diversity because, if they don't see it, then they get in a classroom, if they've never been around it, they've never read about it, other people's celebrations, their faith. It's so important. Then you get to college, you're like, oh, y'all do what? For what holiday? I've never heard of this thing.
That was me in college. I went to a PWI, and which at the time we weren't even calling them PWI, so just regular, university or whatever.
You was in school.
I went to school, but it was funny. I got around people, even like just being around people of wealth in certain spaces, that I had preconceived notions that were just like, you watched too much TV in the 80s. This is why you think people are like that. They're completely normal people. And some of these broke people acting like the folks that you thinking, and it's, you cannot judge a book. I remember going to my dorm my freshman year of college and seeing a goth woman who was super tall, super pale, black hair, smudged eyes, black all the time. And I never sat with her. I never kicked it with her. I mean, everybody had their groups. And by the way, I went to a nerdy school, so there was a lot of odd people in general. But I remember sitting with her and talking to her one day at lunch randomly. And it's like, oh, she's a biochemist.
See?
Son. And I'm talking to her and she's doing like a triple major. And she's just like, this is how I like to dress. And not only that, she was like a Brazilian biochemist. So it didn't even occur to me that like there was goth culture in other countries, because I had lived in Midwest, South Side of Chicago most of my life. I didn't know where anything was. And so just even getting exposure that way. And I will say, I will give, although this lady touched my hair the other day and I was really not happy with it. But I didn't know her. I was at a store. I'm checking out. I'm getting my coffee. I had braids in. I took them down. I think part of the reason I took them down was because she did that. But it was also time for them, because they were starting to run to the back of my head. Y'all, you gotta warn me when y'all see me out here and they're running away from my head. I didn't see them. But I get to the register and I'm paying for my coffee, and the lady behind me, I hear, "Oh, your braids are so beautiful." And then I felt the wind of her arm swing to like And I was like, oh no. That said, when I was in college, I was never around Jewish people until I went to college. And I had a Jewish friend. When I tell you, this boy had the cutest, long, curly fro. Like, and I used to boing his curls. I used to be like, boink. I just
See,
boink.
and he didn't care, but see, for us, that's cultural. It's cultural, right?
It is
But even you
cultural, but
went to a PWI, I went to HBCU, and there was still, for me, there were cultural things where I just met different people from different. I remember the girls in my hall were from New Orleans, and they like took seasoning packs to the cafeteria because they thought the food was bland. And I was just like, really, it tastes all right? Like, you know, even in the HBCU, you meet people from all over, right? Then you just like, you're exposed. I think that's part of college, right? You're exposed to all these different people, and you're learning, and your mind is open, hopefully, right? To just meeting people. And but there is for me, it was a lot of culture shock. You know, I'm from a small town and went to a majority, you know, white high school, and it was very rural. So coming to Atlanta, it was
a
a lot
whole
of
different thing.
It was a whole other thing for me. So I can understand that for sure.
Yeah.
But that's important. It's important why you talking to children young about different people, where they're from, head coverings, why people wear what they wear, what they do. That way, you know, your kids aren't embarrassing you in the grocery store, asking you like, "Well, mommy, why does she have that?" You know, that part.
Well, but you know what? Part of it is I don't mind the why. It's when they say it with disgust, because you know what that says? They have been, it's been instilled in them that things that are different aren't good. Like, I've had kids, I've interacted with kids who have asked me questions. I had my hair dyed blonde and I had it purple. So you had to go blonde to get the purple, right? And they're like, why is your hair like that? But they don't mean it like, oh, why is your hair like that?
No,
like,
they just haven't seen it before.
Yeah, and that's what that's what I really want. I want kids to be able to have those discussions openly and say it because they want to educate themselves. Like, ooh, I want to learn about this. I haven't seen this yet. And that yet is so important.
It is so important. There's a really great children's book called Lovely, I think it is. And it just shows like, it's animated, different people, like old, young, wrinkly, you know, tight skins, thin noses, wide noses, tattoos, ear piercings, head coverings, just all kinds of different things. And the book just talks about how everyone's lovely and different. And it's just one of my favorite books because it just shows all different shapes and sizes of people and skin tones and hair. It's a great book. It's a great book.
I feel like I need to read that book as an adult because we all still have our preconceived notions.
Everybody.
It's for everybody to learn.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, talking bringing it back to travel. I think that's also great for traveling with kids because I think when you travel with children, they get to see and are exposed to different people and how other people live and cultures, and it can open their eyes. I don't quite travel with my children yet. I look forward. They're not ready yet. They're not for me to take them for long.
Mama not ready yet. Mama not ready yet.
I'm not ready. People that travel with 2-year-olds, God bless you, is not my industry. But my 6-year-old, he's almost ready to go for some long trips. We do like, you know, U.S. trips. But yeah. He's almost ready to go to some international trips for sure. So I think that's important. I think when kids get out of the U.S., they see how other children live. And see, you know, they're exposed to different foods, how people's houses, how school systems. It's important. Travel, for an adult, you can travel and come back and be like, wow, I am appreciative that when I call this light switch, there are lights in here.
Right? When I call on this light switch, the light switch says yes. And
this wire I can drink, you know, it's things you travel different places and you meet different people, or you get great food and good conversation in other places.
And all those things that, like, all that sensory input that tells you the world is bigger than the problems you have every day and the people that you talk to and who don't like who and all of those things. There are beautiful places to go and animals to pet and beaches to lay on and all of that. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, I thank you for we brought it back around to travel. And before we go, because we've been on for like, almost an hour, girl. We made it. We've been kicking it. We've been kicking it. Tell everybody where they can find your products and find you online, because I know holidays are coming and people are going to want to stock up real quick. I suggest people stock up now because once we get like a month before, you're not going to be able to get stuff. So it's going to be out of, we already talked about
from now until December like 15th. I haven't looked at the hard date, but that's right. that's pretty much our cutoff. Like the second week of December, I can't promise you after that.
So I ain't got nothing for you. I got nothing
Between
for
you,
you.
God, and the post office at that point, I can't help you.
Like, that's when people start getting gift wrapped, and they're like, oh, I'm just trying to be ecological, and they wrapped it in like brown paper. You know, oh no, I just get some twine to go on it. It's just me being, you know, you're not a hippie.
You're being creative.
You wear fur coats. You're not a hippie. Stop it. You just didn't order in time.
No, so you can shop us www.greentopgifts.com. We're on all social media at Greentop Gifts, and our products ship all over the U.S., international, and we have Christmas products. We all have some birthdays, some new stuff that's coming out soon. You can check our website and shop it. Please share it with friends, and then buy that paper, and then wrap your black travel box in it and gift it to somebody.
That part. And you know your black travel box comes in the black box already. So honestly, you just take that mailer. For holidays, we usually start in like September, October, putting those boxes in a mailer pack so that you can reuse it. Because people are like, but I want to gift the box. I don't want to peel off we got you, boo. But yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Jackie, for kicking it with me. We had our mini long distance Kiki.
It was wonderful.
It was so much fun. Cheers to you. And big thanks to everybody. Girl, I'm just.
I got a last little swig. Cheers to that.
Yeah. We friends. I had to catch up. Cheers. Exactly. And thank you all who joined us. We had tons of people in the conversation. I asked Rico, I see you. Pickle fam, hey, what's good? I am so grateful to have you guys this week. I'm so grateful to have this time. I'm so grateful that Jackie joined us. I had a great time meeting you and chatting with you. We definitely have to do this again. And this is what all Wind Down is about. Like, we talked a little business stuff. We, mentioned a little, but really it's about connecting. It's about having a good conversation and having some connections that many of us don't necessarily get during the week. We on these Zoom calls for work or whatever things, and getting that moment to be like, travel is dope. And I love people. And the world is amazing. And so I thank y'all for joining us. This has been so much fun. Thank you, Miss Jackie. I will catch you very, very soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.